Good morning, Geneva, Switzerland. It is Saturday and Gwen and I are out and out of the room. She went and had an awesome workout, I think. And I did some editing, did not get very far. And then we got dressed and now we're here for our breakfast, which we already paid for. We prepaid for with our booking of our hotel. So there's Gwen. Isn't that a cute background behind her? Oh, that's real pretty. It looks real pretty in the camera. Yeah, so we're gonna go get our breakfast. It's a buffet situation. So we're here and the food is over there. All right. All right, y'all. We out on the streets of Geneva, not America. So we are on our way to find a free walking tour. So we are hoofing it right now because it's about a mile away. But y'all know us. Walking is the best free entertainment you can ever have.
We just ate all the carbs for breakfast.
All of them.
We're going, we're not looking.
Yeah. We have our Google Maps out and we have a road map out and we're gonna get there, y'all. And if we don't,
We're still gonna get there.
we're gonna get there. We'll see some people walking with umbrella. We'll follow.
They say 11, but they start a few minutes after.
Yeah, because they let everybody kind of gather.
Yeah.
So, all right, y'all. See y'all later. All right, y'all. We still out here in these streets. Look at the Stay Puft Dough people hanging off the side of the building. Guys, we made it. We made it like right on time, like at 11. So this is where we at. Remember, we was here last night. So this is like about a mile, like what is it, 0.8 from our feet, 0.8, whatever the measurement is, you know, 0.2 something from a mile.
So, when the Romans came, they built a bridge over the river. Right where we're standing now, we are on an island. You see the water here, and where that bus is going, it's over another little bridge. So it was two short spans of the bridge, so it's very easy to cross the river here. Now, the Helvetians, when they talked to the Romans, they said, gosh, Italy sounds very nice. It was warm, you've invented wine. And the Helvetians decided that they were going to move to Italy because life here in the winter is very cold. So they started to pack their possessions onto big carts with wooden wheels to go down to the south. And news of this reached Julius Caesar. When he heard of this in Rome, he did exactly what the Italian government does now when they hear that the migrants want to come. He said no. Julius Caesar had a forced march here and burnt the bridge.
Oh, wow.
This meant that the Helvetians could not emigrate. And Julius Caesar wrote about this in his famous work, The War Against the Gauls, Book 1, Chapter 7, 58 BC. If you look up on the wall, you see the transcripts. This is the first time, you see across the road there? This is the first time that Geneva is mentioned in the history books by name. For 200 years, the Swiss people were very, very successful fighting the military. They won every battle. They were a very safe country. We still have the national service, the military service for the men. Of course, you know the Swiss Army knife. You've heard of the Swiss Army knife, yeah? And down in the Vatican, the Pope has the Swiss Guard. Very good soldiers. They won every battle that they fought until 1515. In 1515, the Swiss lost a battle against France. So the Swiss said, okay, fighting is only fun when you're winning. Let's have a treaty of eternal peace instead. In 1515, then they made the Treaty of Eternal Peace with France.
So Switzerland is known for many things, such as chocolate, hello Swiss Miss, and cheese, hello Swiss cheese, and banking where you can hide all of your coins, and Swiss Army knife, that. And also the invention, is it the invention? The founding of the Red Cross. Yes. Take a look at the Switzerland flag. Look familiar? Right?
Yes.
When I seen it, oh no, let me say, when I seen airplanes with the Swiss flag on it, I'm like, oh, what are those? Flying ambulances?
Like, nope.
Nope, it's the Red Cross flag inverted. So what an awesome segue. Who knew? Henry Dunant, founder of the Red Cross.
The founder of the Red Cross. You see, he changed the course of human history because he changed what it means, how we see other human beings. Before him, if you lost the battle, bad luck. But now as we read that in Afghanistan a village has been bombed and children have been hurt, we feel sad to those children. We might even give money to help look after those children. Before him, people just didn't think that same way at all. And the funny thing is, he didn't even begin life as a philanthropist. He was a banker. He had a bank, and in the late 1850s, they were having trouble with Algerian mercenaries causing problems across southern Europe. So, in 1859, he contacted the person who was in charge of southern Europe at the time, Napoleon III. The great nephew of the Emperor Napoleon, and he said we need to have a discussion about peacekeeping in the region, and Napoleon III said, well, I'd be happy to, but I'm not currently in Paris, I am in northern Italy fighting the Austrians. So Mr. Dunant sets off towards the little village of Solferino in northern Italy, and as he rode towards Solferino, he looked on either side and he realised that he was riding through a battlefield. There were bodies on each side of the road, and sometimes his carriage had to stop in order for his coachman to pull wounded men out of the way. He was a civilian, he was like us. He was just as upset as you would be to see this carnage on his road. When he arrived in the village, he arranged for the villagers to go and to bring any man who could still talk into the village hall and give them bread and water. Then he went on to his meeting with Napoleon III, and he walked in and he said, I've changed my mind, we do not wish to discuss trade. I will ask you a favour. Well, said Napoleon III, somewhat defensively, that depends what you want. Tell me, said Dunant, do you have any prisoners of war? Well, yes, said Napoleon III, relaxing visibly. You see, we won. Tell me, are any of your prisoners of war doctors? Well, yes, said Napoleon III. You see, doctors don't fight. They tend to survive. That's wonderful, said Dunant. Give them to me. They will treat the wounded men of both sides. Well, Napoleon III hadn't thought of that, but there were lots of Frenchmen out there dying in the fields as well as Austrians. He gave the doctors. The wounded people were treated, and of course many of them survived. Dunant came back here to Geneva, and in 1863 he wrote a little book called The Souvenir of Solferino. And the impact of this spread around the world. Memories of Solferino, the Souvenir of Solferino. You see, out in America, what was happening in 1865? 1863, what was happening when he wrote the book?
I was going to say slavery was about to get ready to end, but...
Yes, exactly. You're all correct. It was the height of the Civil War. Yeah, the height of the Civil War, 1861 to 65. And the generals of the northern states, your New Yorkers, they read this little booklet and they said, what an amazing idea. After we win the war, we want to be the United States of America. Let's treat the men of both sides the same. Afterwards, they will realize they're all from one nation. And it changed the course of American history because, of course, if you realize that if you're wounded and captured, you're going to be treated as a human being, it changes how you fight. The ideas, of course, also spread across Europe. And here, Mr. Dufour, who we will meet again in a moment, he contacted Mr. Dunant and he said, we must do something about this. And at the beginning of 1864, together with 3 other men, they founded the Red Cross. And for this, Mr. Dunant, in 1901, was given the first ever Nobel Peace Prize.
So chestnut trees are actually an endangered species in Europe. Now this tree right here was declared the official chestnut tree. And so when leaves come out or a leaf comes out, this tree is watched, and when that happens, it is announced that spring has arrived. So here is where Six Roads meet. This made this a very popular place in the city of Geneva because it's surrounded with many hotels and just a lot of life. Now, where there's life, there's also women who try to get their life by soliciting life, the working women. And so here they actually pay homage to those women. And you see this statue right here. So she represents the working girls. She is very thin, she is nude. This represents vulnerability, but it also represents strength because she is still standing. So one thing you may notice about Geneva is the lack of shutters. Why? Because it's representing the fact that if you have nothing to hide, hide nothing. Bend over, show the world. Bend over. So who knew? You're like Swiss. I know. Because we don't believe in shutters either. Or curtains or blinds or shades. So words matter here in Switzerland. They believe that you should be able to get something to read at all times, no matter the hour. So here, at night, this door right here is left open and unlocked so that you can go down there no matter what time and get a book. Now, they have a whole selection of books, and then they have a box on the wall for you to put 20 francs in the box and you can get a book. 20 francs, which is also equivalent to $20, is very inexpensive. That's just like, I asked the tour guide this. I was like, wait, 20 francs? Oh yeah, that's because they're second hand. So she was saying that like, that's why it's so cheap. That's a new book.
What's $20?
That's a whole new book.
It is.
Welcome to Switzerland. But you know something? Context is everything. Where in one place you can hear 20 and think for a used book that's expensive, and somebody else can hear that same thing and say, wow, what a great deal. What a great deal. Context. Change it. Change your mentality, y'all. We all need to be walking around like $20, that's nothing. $3,000 for first class plane tickets, that's nothing.
$2,400 to go to Cancun first class.
I gotta change it, y'all. Will y'all change with me? Will y'all change with me? Budget life,
all levels.
Budget life, or level up?
Level up to the next one and keep going. Don't stop. Because that's really what you're saying.
Yeah.
Like what you think is expensive right now, scratch that out. Go to that level.
Yep.
Keep going.
And keep going. Level up. Now, if you ain't got it, don't pretend now. We ain't saying pretend.
Well, there's energy and other things that go with the level up.
Yes.
Just a little architectural aside. Some of you I have seen taking the photos of this. This has the ramp going up, which is very high ceiling and has cobbles all the way up. So if you're a councillor going to a meeting on the top floor, you can ride a horse all the way to the top. Now, the first Red Cross headquarters, we're going to see in a moment, is just down the road, a very small building. So after the Red Cross was formed at the beginning of 1864, they decided to rent the room at the back there, hidden by scaffolding, to have a meeting. They invited representatives of 16 countries to come here. 12 countries sent the representatives, and together they drew up and signed what is now known as the Geneva Convention. The Geneva Convention. So that was held in this room. The Geneva Convention deals with the rights of prisoners of war, that we treat prisoners of war like human beings. to become a member of the United Nations, you have to sign the Geneva Convention. Then, in 1872, so shortly afterwards, another meeting was held in that same room. And this time, it was between the United States and Great Britain. You see, Great Britain had supplied a battleship to the losing side, the southern states, in the American Civil War. And the countries were bickering about this, even though they both really wanted to be friends. And they held a meeting in that room. The room, therefore, ever after was named after the battleship, the SS Alabama. This is known now as the Alabama Room. And there, the Great Britain and the United States decided that they would be friends in the future, which had, of course, the direct result that last summer, when Donald Trump visited England, he had tea with the Queen. So these things are still very alive. So very much history was made there, and these two important meetings were the start of Geneva being regarded as a centre of international arbitrage. You can come here, make an agreement that then stands in international law. So recently, for example, Argentina and Chile had a meeting in Geneva. It's total neutrality.
Oh, guys, so far, I find that these tours are very freaking interesting.
Absolutely.
Because even if we walk ourselves, we would have never known what we didn't know.
Right.
Like, we would have never stopped at that building or those pillars and been like, oh, this is where the Red Cross started. Oh, this is where the Geneva Convention took place. Oh, this is where all of international treaties from around the world happened. We would have never known those things. Oh, this is why you ain't got no shutters. Oh, we should be able to see you nude and vulnerable. Oh, this is where whoredom took place. And guess what? We respect that too.
Again, it's a neutral country. So it's basically saying we don't judge. Don't judge us for not judging you.
Yeah.
We're not judging.
Or the fact that even something as simple as Protestant really was pronounced Protestant. It was about protesting something, protesting the way things were. The fact that before the Protestant Reformation took place, people paid a priest for their sins. Like, you basically bought the right to sin, and it's like, no, we shouldn't do that. But then again, along with Protestant Reformation or Protestant Reformation came, nor should you wear makeup or earrings or be vain. Everything should be very plain. And guess what? We're gonna do away with jewelry here. Hence, all the jewelers pretty much went out of business until the Huguenots came and said, we'll make watches. That's not vain. They're very functional. Where's our people? Oh, right there. All right. And guess what, jewelers? For these watches, you can now make watch cases. That is how. That is how Switzerland and the Swiss became known as quality watchmakers. We get to ask what are these trees about now. And what are these trees?
They're cane trees.
Cane trees?
Plane.
Oh, plane trees. We was like, they're so interesting how they knot up at the end.
Well, they've been pruned. They're pruned every year. And then when they grow, so the more long branches coming out.
Yeah.
And they're very, very good trees to have in a city because they absorb a lot of pollution.
Oh, they absorb a lot of pollution. So Geneva is known to be a very integrated city. In fact, every 2 citizens or 2 inhabitants here are from someplace else. But they actually welcome refugees, and when they get here, they find them the first available place to live. So they don't have sectioned off or divided neighborhoods such as Chinatown or Little Africa or anything like that. They totally, or as our tour guide said, they don't have any ghettos.
Yeah.
They totally integrate them into the city, and all are welcomed.
Which I think is a cool way to look at it. It's like we don't create these environments to separate people. That's how I took what she said. Everybody comes together.
You know what else I just thought about that? And where there is segregation, that's also intentional.
Yes.
When you think about countries that have a lot of these sectioned off areas, that's on purpose too.
Yes.
So the same way that they chose to not do it on purpose, there are places that choose to do it on purpose. Stay woke, guys. Stay woke.
Welcome to the world.
You see how we go on these tours? We be learning and we be interpreting and we be coming up with deductive reasoning and coming to some pretty good conclusions. Y'all can trust us.
It's a free taxi. We found them. Or we thought they were.
Oh yeah, the free water taxis, guys. Let me show you. These are the water taxis. So just like in Venice, they have taxi buses and taxi cabs that are on the water. So this is one of them, and see, you can buy your bus ticket or water taxi ticket there. But again, if you're staying in a hotel or hostel here, you get a card and you can ride them for free for the duration of your stay. So while you may pay 20 francs to borrow a used book, come on y'all, it all balances out. Exactly. You can get there for free. So Geneva is also the birthplace of the internet as we know it, and it is the 5th most expensive place in the world.
And that's evident of her comment when she was talking about the book.
The $20 used book.
Used books that you have access to.
Like, think about it. In thrift stores in America, used books are like, what, $1?
Yeah.
Yeah, right? If you gotta pay $5, you second guessing like, am I gonna pay $5 for this book? And then of course we have libraries that are free, which I'm sure they have here too, I think, I don't know.
The assumption is.
The assumption. But I'm just saying, a $20 used book, yeah, that's rich. That's rich.
Hence the 5th most expensive city in
That's
the world.
Abundance. That's abundance. So this is the jet d'eau.
Come closer, otherwise I won't be able to
The
make myself.
original fountain of water.
To the Le Mans.
So with the the big stream of water, there have been many places around the world that's actually imitated this infamous jet. The largest being in Dubai, but you know what else imitates this jet?
What?
One of my favorite places.
Las Vegas?
Yup, the Bellagio.
Ah.
So yeah, all inspired by this great big gushing
This is
stream
natural,
of water.
even though they've changed it over technology, but it was a natural thing.
No.
That was happening. It was never natural.
Never natural.
Oh.
It was a hydrogen plant, and they needed to release the pressure of the water from time to time, so it would shoot the water up. And then they just liked it, so they made it over here, and they just made it a big thing because they liked it.
Oh, that's when she said people would come out here and eat and have picnics.
When it was
around
over there,
When it was
by
over
the
there.
hydrogen plant.
Gotcha.
Yes.
Okay.
And because they liked it over there, but when they stopped it because that plant started using electricity, they was like, "But we still want it," so they made a monument over here.
Okay.
Yeah.
Awesome.
So.
Have in front of you, of course, the great symbol of Geneva, the jet d'eau, which, as we were just discussing, literally means the jet of water. Around the late 1880s, and all over Europe, people were starting to celebrate the progress of the Industrial Revolution. In London, they built Crystal Palace. In Paris, they built the Eiffel Tower. It wasn't meant to stay, it was just a celebration, it's still there. And here in Geneva, in 1891, exactly 600 years after the first 3 men met in the field, we put the jet d'eau here. And it's now, of course, much bigger. It's 140 meters high, or even more on very still days. The water comes out at 200 kilometers an hour. You can actually walk all the way out to there, but the actual bit where the water comes out, of course, is closed off for the safety reasons. Up towards Germany, a man invented something to take the place of all those horses that had to be killed. And he called his invention the velocipede. Does anyone know what it was? The bicycle. Yeah, that we have one attached to the railings just down there. So out of that really difficult time came something that we still use today, something really good. And that's the message I want to give you now for the rest of your travel. You don't know if it will be sunshine or raining. You may be running for your train, not sure if you're going to make the airport on time. But don't worry, because whatever adventures you have on your journey will give you good stories afterwards. So now as you go on your way, good luck. Ask me any questions you have, or where to go, how to find your next place. Please pay the value of the tour for your holiday here and have a wonderful time in Geneva, Switzerland. thank you all for my very last tour.
Thank you.
Oh.